Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Look, if you are gearing up for the UPSC examination, you already know the deal, right? It has a literally brutal pass rate of less than 0.2%. You know the syllabus, you've got the towering stacks of textbooks, and you fully understand the sheer overwhelming volume of information you have to process. But today, we're actually going to look at something entirely different. We are going to decode the exact psychological architecture you absolutely need to survive this hyper-competitive environment. Welcome to the blueprint of the bureaucrat's mind. You see, you really have to realize that the real battle here isn't just academic. It's a massive test of psychological endurance that you literally must win internally first. Because as the saying goes, the silent battle is won long before the examination even begins. You could genuinely have all the knowledge in the world, but if your internal operating system is constantly crashing under the intense pressure, well, those facts simply aren't going to save you. So, I want you to think of your mind kind of like a massive construction site. To become an IAS officer, you need a rock-solid foundational blueprint for your subconscious programming. And to be clear, we aren't just talking about, wishful thinking or some generic motivational quotes here. We are looking at a literal structural framework. It's a psychological manifesto specifically designed to intentionally build the extreme mental fortitude required for the Indian Administrative Service. Now look at the stark contrast here. A typical aspirant's mind is usually just a tangled, chaotic mess of endless study hours, worrying about external judgments, and this looming fear of the future. It's basically just chaotic anxiety, right? But to actually survive, you absolutely must transform that messy knot of stress into a meticulous, classical architecture built on 5 distinct pillars. You are fundamentally moving from a chaotic mental state to a highly structured system, one that can actually support the massive weight of the position you're striving for. All right, so here is our architectural plan for this explainer. We are going to cover 1. The silent psychological battle. 2. Claiming your sovereign identity. 3. Forging the inner shield. 4. The daily growth engine. 5. The burden of command. And finally, 6. Activating your internal OS. Section 1. The silent psychological battle. Psychological endurance. These are the forces you are up against every single day. The intense competition against literally millions of other people. The endless study hours that just drain your will to live. You know that one well-meaning relative who is constantly asking you for your quote-unquote plan B? And of course, the heavy, paralyzing fear of the future. These forces are constantly trying to erode your focus. And that is exactly why mere wishing won't work. You need robust mental infrastructure. You can't just cross your fingers and hope you'll feel confident. You literally have to engineer it. Moving on to Section 2, claiming your sovereign identity, claiming your core. This brings us to the absolute foundation, Pillar 1. At your core, you define yourself. You do not wait around for the commission to validate you. Sovereignty means you internally claim the identity of an IAS officer long before the results are ever published. It literally starts with telling yourself, I respect myself and I am so proud of myself. Because think about it, if you wait for the external world to tell you you're worthy, you are going to be waiting forever. You have to own it right now, today. Section 3. Forging the inner shield. Forging defenses. So here is a really fascinating paradox for you. Empathy is absolutely required for public service, right? But during your preparation phase, being vulnerable to public opinion is a massive liability. You absolutely must build an inner shield so that all those external judgments just bounce right off your core focus. This shield ensures that your self-worth remains entirely disconnected from the transient, fleeting judgments of others. It gives you the total power to say, I am not what others think of me. Next up, Section 4, the daily growth engine, earning your confidence. Let's be totally honest with each other here. Confidence without effort is honestly just delusion. This entire framework rejects the idea of passive waiting. You don't just sit there in your room repeating daily affirmations. You actually earn the right to them by sweating through your textbooks and grinding out endless mock tests. That daily evolution, that is your growth engine. When you put in the grueling hours, you fuel this machine. And that's how you legitimately get to tell yourself, I am getting all the success I truly deserve. Section 5. The burden of command. Accepting the weight. Now we are building the upper levels. Your goal isn't just acquiring a standard job to pay the bills. It is a leadership ripple that starts internally with the belief I am a born leader, and it actively pushes outward to I inspire others. You are mentally preparing yourself to hold the chair. You're programming your mind to accept this massive duty to inspire the people who look to the administration for guidance. You have to recognize that command is a serious burden, but it's one you carry with absolute honor. And that brings us to Pillar 5. Sustained success operates on an abundance loop. Listen, if your ambition is fueled purely by anxiety, you are eventually going to crash. It's pretty much inevitable. To avoid that structural collapse of burnout, you have to actively shift your fuel source from the scarcity of fear over to the abundance of gratitude. Anchor yourself in a profound appreciation for the sheer opportunity to serve. When you connect your happiness, a genuine love for giving, and immense gratitude, you basically create an endless, fully renewable supply of psychological energy. Section 6. Activating your internal OS. Activating the system. The really crucial point here is how all these individual pieces fit together into one continuous loop. Identity, boundaries, effort, leadership, and abundance. They all constantly feed into each other to create a completely self-sustaining psychological architecture. Your strong identity fuels your incredibly hard work. That effort supports your leadership, which then generates gratitude, which in turn reinforces those boundaries against negativity. It is essentially a fully upgraded internal operating system for your mind. Now, adopting this requires a major paradigm shift. You must consciously abandon the reactive mindset, worrying about societal validation, constantly fearing failure. And instead, you have to step fully into the empowered AIS mindset, a mindset completely driven by service, where you claim, I define myself. You are no longer just reacting to the exam, you are actively dictating your reality. You refuse to settle for less than you deserve, operating from a place of total, complete ownership over your entire journey. So, how do we actually make this practical in your day-to-day life? Well, here are 3 concrete steps. Number 1, read. Consume these affirmations as literal instructions for your nervous system. Number 2, audit. Catch yourself whenever you start slipping into those old reactive mindsets and aggressively apply your inner shield. And number 3, embody. Walk, study, and breathe as if you already hold that chair. You have to completely act the parts before you ever actually get the part. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final, unyielding truth. The chair of an IAS officer is exceptionally heavy. You absolutely must build the psychological infrastructure to support it long before you are ever invited to sit down. So I want you to ask yourself today, is your current mental architecture strong enough to hold that chair? Go pour your foundation and go win that silent battle.